Hello and welcome, guys. We are here with BR from ElectroSwap, and today we are going to be doing an exclusive AMA. How are you doing today, BR?
I'm doing great. How are you? Thanks for having
Doing
me.
Yep, absolutely. Of course, as always, guys, this video is not financial advice. BR and his team at ElectroSwap have recently won the first ever Electroneum Hackathon. So some pretty exciting stuff. Today, we're going to be diving into all of that. For those of you not familiar, ElectroSwap is a DEX that is built on top of the layer 1 Electroneum. Now with the intro out of the way, let's go ahead and talk to BR a little bit. So BR, can you give the listeners a little bit of a background into your history?
Sure. Yeah. I'm the founder of ElectroSwap. I've been a software developer for 20 years in corporate America software development. Discovered crypto in about 2016, read the Satoshi white paper, just resonated with me. I saw the reasons that crypto was invented. I thought it was amazing. And I just wanted to be a part of that. And one of the most intriguing parts of that was removing the middlemen from transacting between peer-to-peer. Started developing on EVM chains shortly after that. And in 2018 became a holder of ETN and held all my ETN on Cryptopia. I didn't listen to Satoshi though, and ended up losing access to all of my ETN there. And since then, I learned my lesson and have become quite passionate about self-custody. The whole not your keys, not your coins.
That's exactly right. I think everybody in the crypto space can relate to some form of another learning that valuable lesson. Mine was with Celsius, unfortunately. I lost a majority of my Bitcoin over there. So it's a live and learn thing, and you come out on the other side more prepared. So you talked a little bit about Electroneum, and you said, when were you first introduced to ETN?
ETN about 2018. I got involved when I heard about their mobile miner, which was like basically an app that you could install on your phone and you would just get free coins from it. It wasn't actually mining, but the idea was just a fair distribution to people that were installing their mobile miner on their apps.
Right. And then at what point through this process did you decide that you wanted to build on top of Electroneum for this ElectroSwap DEX?
Well, that really came about last year in March 2024. Obviously, ETN had been around a long time, and it seemed to kind of disappear into the abyss. But then last year, they came out with this new chain, which was EVM compatible, and we'd still been holding. We had been holding on our. They had a CLI wallet, which was basically a command line wallet, which was difficult to use, but it allowed us to stay in self-custody. And so we were uniquely positioned because of that. And when they launched the EVM chain, we were basically able to start building on it right away. So that was we were uniquely positioned in that way to get that done.
Yeah, and the fact that you guys won the first ever hackathon, that is pretty huge news. That's why I was very excited to sit down and talk with you today. So can you tell us a little bit about the DEX itself and how it works?
Yeah, so I'll give you a little bit of a history of how we kind of started building. So right after they launched the EVM chain, it was basically a completely empty chain. It was a blank slate, a blank canvas, if you will. And so we saw that as a tremendous opportunity to basically establish ourselves with a first mover advantage. And it's not often that you get to have that type of opportunity. So we just wanted to jump on it. The fact that ETN has such fast transactions, 5-second blocks, is an added bonus. But essentially, in order to start building, we had to set up a lot of infrastructure because as a brand new chain, there was essentially no infrastructure out there. There was no RPCs. And the RPC, for if you don't know or for your audience doesn't know, is basically like the gateway that allows a website or the internet to communicate with the blockchain. And so there wasn't even an RPC available. We had to basically spin up our own RPC node. And with that, we were able to deploy the first contract on the Electroneum smart chain.
Wow.
And so once we had done that, we had a contract. Basically, it was a token. And but there was no platform, no exchange to be able to swap. And so we, just as an experiment, we decided to clone Uniswap version 2 and deployed that to the Electroneum smart chain. And we really wanted to do that mainly because it is a decentralized platform, and because we are so passionate about self-custody, we saw that as a good fit for us. And Uniswap, obviously, it's tried and true. It's got a great, solid, secure foundation. To our knowledge, it's never been exploited. And so we ended up deploying that. We got that audited so that the community would feel secure, knowing that it was basically Uniswap version 2 as is, with no modifications. And so once we did that, we started building out a custom indexer, which started recording all of the transactions, similar to what a blockchain explorer does in the background. It records all that raw blockchain data, starts recording swaps. And using that, we could start recording all of the transactions going on. From there, it's been kind of a journey. So after that, we launched as a DEX. Like we threw up a UI and notified the community about it. But one of the first things that we wanted to do to differentiate ourselves from Uniswap was to integrate liquidity locking, which I don't know how much you know or your community knows about automated market makers like Uniswap, but essentially liquidity is provided by a liquidity provider, and that liquidity can be removed at any time by that liquidity provider, since they're the provider of it. But that creates risk for users. And so we wanted to create a system that the DEX itself could have a liquidity locker integrated within the user interface, so that users could know that the liquidity was locked and that the liquidity provider can't just remove that, or also known as rug pull, anytime they want. So we integrated that into our user interface. We got that liquidity locker contract audited. And we started to develop some pretty stringent listing requirements for any tokens that wanted to list on our exchange. So they have to have their contract reviewed. They have to have locked liquidity. There has to be a minimum amount of liquidity provided with any tokens that want to be listed. And so we basically set up a very safe place for people to do swaps. After that, we start, because there's no infrastructure. Most swap sites will, if you're trading tokens on there, you might be looking at DEX Screener, DEX Tools, or something like that. But because those sites don't support Electroneum, we had to basically build out our own charts, our own transaction history, all of this stuff that just didn't exist. So we started building that out. We developed a Telegram buy bot so that any users in our Telegram groups can basically be notified of any buys. And once we'd gotten kind of settled with that, we upgraded and added Uniswap version 3, which allows concentrated liquidity. So you can set up bands of liquidity, and through certain price ranges, people can swap tokens within a certain price range. We added a version 3 liquidity locker, and then we just kept building. We've been building nonstop since March last year. We built a yield farm that allows users to essentially earn rewards in the form of our token called Dino. And you can earn APY on whatever you deposit as liquidity into that yield farm. And during the hackathon, we actually just developed an NFT marketplace, which is a fully fledged NFT marketplace. You can just list your NFTs, or creators can create them. They're automatically processed by our pipeline, and we just need to hear about it from the creators in order to list them on our marketplace.
It's pretty incredible. You and your team single-handedly injected so much utility into Electroneum. It's actually extremely impressive. One of the great benefits of EVM compatible chains being able to use other dApps and other things, be able to convert them easily. But I've been very impressed with everything that you guys have done thus far. Very, very cool stuff. So next, tell the audience a little bit about ElectroSwap, anything that they maybe don't know that you would like them to.
Well, again, I kind of already touched on it, but as far as we know, we're the only DEX that has locked liquidity integrated into the DEX itself. Most other DEXs that offer swaps, you have to go to other third-party sites to determine whether there is any locked liquidity. And swapping tokens that have that locked liquidity really does make it a lot safer for users to interact on those with those trading pairs. And so we feel like that really sets us apart, and especially with our other listing criteria, in order to be on our default drop down list, there are pretty stringent requirements. So users can safely be rest assured that anything that they're trading or swapping on our site is safe. And there's a visual indicator that shows whether there's locked liquidity or not. So that makes it easy for them to know. And then, of course, just the fact that we have the yield farm and the NFT marketplace is it creates. We're basically created or put ourselves in a position that we're a one-stop shop.
Yeah, very diverse. And I gotta say, the UI also is looking very nice. Is that somebody? Did you guys outsource the UI, or is that something you guys?
No, that was
did
all
in-house?
in-house. Busy, lots of late nights.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Even just like one facet of ElectroSwap would take, a lot of work, and you guys have dived into so many different areas like the NFT marketplace, the yield farming, etc. Added utility again to Electroneum as a whole. So for our next question, BR, you had said that you got into Electroneum in 2018. I am just curious your thoughts of why you think that Electroneum is a great chain to build on top of.
Well, a lot of chains that started around that time have come and gone. They've faded into the sunset, if you will. But Electroneum really has shown that they are dedicated to the long haul, as are we, by their continual development on the chain. The fact that they launched an EVM chain and abandoned the previous legacy chain, I suppose you could call it that, really showed me that they were sticking around for the long haul. And that is something that I think is undervalued. And so that was probably what inspired us to start building on Electroneum. But the fact that they have 5-second blocks, they have some really unique features in the fact that they have instant finality. So I'm sure a lot of people, when interacting with a centralized exchange, you deposit your crypto, and then you're waiting, 10 minutes for them to confirm the deposit. Well, if centralized exchanges implement the Electroneum chain properly, it one single confirmation is sufficient to have the exchange know that transaction cannot be reversed. So that instant finality is actually really important when it comes to certain types of transactions. And so that's another unique feature that we really like about Electroneum. Yeah. And it's really cheap to build on Electroneum. There's very little cost overhead to start building compared to some chains like Ethereum.
Yeah.
You could pay $150 to deploy a contract, and
Mhm.
it's very cost efficient to to build on Electroneum.
Absolutely. Yeah, the instant finality is definitely a big bonus for Electroneum as a whole. So we talked about it a bit earlier. You and your team did win the first ever hackathon for Electroneum, and I wanted to know what it was like to participate in that hackathon.
Yeah, that was it was interesting because for a long time we were some of the only people that were developing on the chain, and all of a sudden the chain just came to life, and it just was teeming with contracts being deployed here and there and everywhere, and um, it didn't feel like we were the only ones working on the chain anymore, which felt really good to feel like we're not working in a silo. Um, but it was so much work because our NFT marketplace was essentially the thing that we wanted to add to ElectroSwap for the hackathon, but we had no idea what we were getting into. We None of us personally had really used NFTs very much prior. We had some, but we didn't really know that much about it, and it kind of forced us to get a deeper understanding of how NFTs work, and we had to build out metadata and image processing pipelines to generate thumbnails and all kinds of stuff. And the traits that are associated with NFTs, we had to build algorithms to rank those, and it was just a very unique experience that kind of it had been on our roadmap, but the hackathon kind of forced us to dig deeper faster than I think we had anticipated. But it worked out to be a really great experience. It was a ton of work, but it was very, very worth it.
Rewarding, definitely gave you that added motivation. I
Yeah.
love to hear it. And I am curious, with you guys winning the hackathon, how did that come about? Like, I mean, did you receive a call or email, or how did you get the news?
Well, the hackathon was hosted through DevHost, and I think it was like a 2 or 3 month long hackathon where teams could contribute to the chain and then add their entries. I think there was over 1,000 participants,
Oh, wow.
and we put in the work and we earned the first place. So felt good to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Who doesn't like to win first place, right? Especially in the sheer amount of utility again that you guys added. Very impressive. I think you guys could have won with just the NFT marketplace or just the DEX, but you guys added all three. It's very cool. So people in the audience that are possibly interested in getting involved with ElectroSwap, how would they be able to go about maybe bridging or interacting with the DEX itself?
Sure. So as a decentralized exchange, it being based on Uniswap, the the contracts behind the scenes, basically you have a trading pair. So you have to have either Electroneum or USDT or USDC, so you can buy Electroneum on any number of different exchanges. Um, Not endorsing any of these, but I know that HTX and KuCoin have it, CoinStore, CoinX, Gate.io. And then for the people in the US, Biconomy is a lesser known exchange, but they do offer it, and they have some decent trading volume. So you can get ETN there, and then once you have ETN, you basically withdraw that to your wallet. So you have an EVM wallet, like MetaMask, or we prefer Rabi. Um, and then once that ETN is in there, you can go to app.electroswap.io and connect your wallet, and you can start swapping. For the USD pairs, you can take USDC or USDT from the Ethereum network, and you can bridge that over to Electroneum through, it's called Umbria. They have a bridge called Narni.
Okay.
So Umbria Network is the name of the company that runs that bridge, and you can essentially transfer your USDT, USDC over to Electroneum. And we do have some trading pairs that have those USD based trading pairs.
Awesome. Well, definitely at the end of this AMA, I'll provide a list of all the different centralized exchanges that you guys can get ETN from. So don't worry about that. I'll also go ahead and put the link for the bridge itself down in the description box. So now that we've done a good general overview of ElectroSwap BR, I did want to go ahead and ask you a more general question about the crypto space. What do you think is a key moment or something that needs to happen in order for Web3 to have mass adoption?
I think Web3 in general, I think that there needs to be a focus on decentralization. I think crypto has kind of strayed a little bit from its roots. Uh, when you think about Satoshi's white paper and basically advocating for peer-to-peer transactions, cutting out the middlemen, that's really why crypto was invented. And the use of centralized exchanges is kind of a necessary evil, in my opinion, just because we have to somehow convert fiat to crypto. But once we have that crypto, really the centralized exchanges, it poses what's called a counterparty risk. I mean, if people are keeping balances on those exchanges, it's risky. You got FTX and so many different um, exchanges, and things like there's just so many different ways that you can lose your money. So decentralization really offers users the ability to have self-custody. That's like a superpower. And when you self-custody, you are taking power back from the middleman and giving yourself that power. So I think there needs to be more education about self-custody and the risks associated with centralized exchanges. The challenge is that those are the guys with all the money. So
Yep.
we're kind of going. It's a little bit of a David versus Goliath situation, but
hmm
um, I think that that's where the focus needs to be in order for Web3 to really enter into uh, society's consciousness.
Absolutely. Like you said, that was the original whole reason for Bitcoin peer to peer, kind of getting away from the mainstream legacy financial system. And
Yeah.
that's what drew me into cryptocurrency. In fact, the thing that really brought me in, there was a show on Netflix and it was called Startup. And it was all about them starting a new blockchain crypto. And something about it just clicked. I was like, this is just makes so much sense. And from that moment on, that was, I think, in 2017, 2018, I've pretty much been involved and obsessed with crypto ever since then. Seems like your story is somewhat similar. And the next thing I wanted to talk about, we talked about you and your team winning the first ever hackathon with Electroneum. There was a little bit of a prize pool that you guys did receive, and I am curious what your plans are with said prize.
Uh, Let me see how to say this. We are bullish on ETN.
Mhm.
So the prize was in the form of ETN, uh, and we're bullish on ETN. So uh, we're going to be saving most likely most of that for our war chest. But we have considered potentially doing some strategic buybacks of our own tokens. So our own tokens are Bolt and Dino. So at any time, we may deploy some of that ETN to acquire some more of our own tokens so that we can stabilize our system and have, because we believe in what we're doing too. So uh, we want to be holders of our own stuff too.
Absolutely. So we haven't touched too deeply on Bolt and Dino. Would you mind telling the audience a little bit more about those?
Sure. So Bolt was really our first token. Bolt is probably the primary token associated with ElectroSwap. That is somewhat like you can kind of equate it to Uni, the Uni token from Uniswap, or
Mhm.
the Cake from PancakeSwap. And Dino is the reward token that is issued, minted. It's an inflationary token uh, that is minted from our yield farm. So all yield farming rewards are issued in Dino. Bolt, I think, by far has the greatest market cap on the chain.
And I saw recent, I think I checked the chart today. ETN's, I think, currently at 24 million market cap. What's currently Bolt? Do you have a general idea of what the
I
market
think
cap
it's
is?
about well, it's because it's paired with Electroneum.
Right.
Its price fluctuates with Electroneum, but I think
Mhm.
at the current price, Bolt's market cap is around 225,000.
Makes it such a good buy. Whether it's Bolt, again, not financial advice, of course, but Bolt sitting far under a million market cap, and ETN, I mean, sitting at around 25 million market cap, in my opinion, extremely undervalued and a very good buy, in my personal opinion. You don't see cryptocurrencies, legacy ones that have been around for almost 10 years at that price. So that is one of the reasons why I was very excited for this AMA, getting talked to you guys, first ever hackathon winners on a chain that has been around for quite some time, battle tested, if you will. So, BR, we are heading towards the end of the AMA. I did have one more question for you, though. What kind of future plans and designs is ElectroSwap thinking of? I know you guys have been tirelessly at work, again, adding so much utility to Electroneum in such a short amount of time. But I am curious, I think the audience may be wondering, what does the future hold?
Yeah. Well, as I said, we've established a firm foundation with Uniswap version 2 and version 3. Uniswap did just release version 4 a couple months ago. So that's something that we're looking into. That may add the possibility of being able to do limit orders and that type of thing. So it's something that we're exploring. I can't really commit to that right now, but it is something that we're looking into. I know that in the past, version 3 and version 2 had been kind of copyrighted for some time. So it may not be something that we're even allowed to do right away, but it's definitely something that we're looking into.
Absolutely, absolutely. And for those in the audience that are curious about where they can find more information about you guys, or where they can stay up to date on all the latest news and developments regarding ElectroSwap, where can they find that information?
Yeah, so our website is probably the best starting place. So electroswap.io is our website. And then also on X, at electroswap underscore DEX, DEX, on X. And also on Telegram. So we have our community chat, which is also where all of the buy bot notifications go. That is ElectroSwap Community, all one word. So t.me/ElectroSwap Community, no space, no underscore. You can find us on Telegram.
All right. And so all of the links for ElectroSwap are going to be down in the description box. So go ahead and check them out. Make sure to follow them on X and join in on their Telegram communities so you guys can go ahead and stay up to date. With that, that is about all for this AMA. BR, thank you so much for your time. You've been a pleasure to talk to, and congratulations on the first ever hackathon victory.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.